Okay, welcome back to another little video from me. Today I'm going to be joined by my friend the Mad Belmont, who is formerly known as the Madman 2170 on Twitch. He is
Hey,
focused on Castlevania and focused on RPGs, but he also enjoys fighting games. In fact, he regularly collaborates with me on said games.
yes, I do.
So, we're going to be discussing what we'd like from a Dead or Alive 7 tonight. Tell us how you got into the Dead or Alive franchise and your general experience with fighting games.
Okay, so I got into DOA whenever our buddy John McBaugh, who you were talking with in a video before, he got me into the game because he told me about core fighters, and he told me that you were gonna play that he was gonna play with you. So I downloaded DOA 6 core fighters. I had been into DOA before. I played like 3 and a little bit of 4, but I just didn't really have anybody to play with, so I just dropped off of it uh, pretty quickly. Back up with 6 because he wanted to play with me, and he told me about you playing with, wanting to play with us. So I downloaded it, got on, got shit on by you two the first day I played, and ever since then I was just like, okay, this game's fun, but I ain't gonna get bullied anymore. And so I worked my ass off, and I've been getting better at the game ever since. And my previous experience with fighting games is I've been playing them since I was about 6 or 7 years old. When my brother got me into uh, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and he used to kick the shit out of me in that game. But I still had fun regardless.
So, what do you tend to look for in a fighting game so that we can kind of preference this discussion with that and what you kind of enjoy, and then I can kind of describe how I enjoy fighting games?
So when I play a fighting game, I'm looking for two things. I'm looking for fluid gameplay, and I'm looking for a diverse character roster. Okay, those are the two main things. So that's why I love games like Marvel vs. Capcom. Gameplay is super fast, super fluid, super chaotic. I love it. And its roster is some of the most diverse roster of characters ever in a fighting game. So that's generally the type of games that I tend to gravitate towards. I
And
need
you've
fluidity.
and that's something that we share. We both like fluidity in our fighting games. That's kind of why I like Dead or Alive and kind of why I like Soul Calibur. They're two of the most fluid fighting games I have ever played. Though
Yep.
Garo is obviously up there, as you probably know from my video on it.
And from the sessions that we've had on it,
Mm-hmm. So, who are you drawn to in Dead or Alive, and why are you drawn to them?
I am drawn to two characters. Kasumi, because I like Kasumi's speed. She is one of the quickest characters in both DOA 5 and DOA 6, especially in 5. God, she's quick in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And I like Ayane as well because I feel like her moveset is really cool, really flashy. Those are the type of move sets that I like. I like, being able to do really cool, really flashy shit that just makes people go, "Oh my god, okay, you can do that?"
I definitely enjoy that in fighting games, though I also like the simpler fighters like Hitomi and Kokoro. Those are my two mains, as you know.
Yeah.
Uh, so, what did you like about Dead or Alive 5? What did you like about Dead or Alive 6?
Okay, with 5, I just loved how fast it was. It was a lot faster than 6. I definitely liked, even though I did have a limited amount of characters in the core fighters aspect of it, each one of them felt unique
Mm-hmm.
compared to the other. Okay, that's what I really liked about that. What I like about 6 is I do like the fact that the graphics were stepped up a notch. That's
They
always
really
a good
were
thing.
stepped up, actually, I would say, in 6.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, One thing I didn't like about 6 though was how much slower it was compared to 5.
It was almost like Dead or Alive lost its identity by going slower.
Because even in 3's a pretty quick fucking game.
Mm-hmm. I have never played Dead or Alive 1 through 4 because I just never had access to it, which is funny considering it is the first fighting game I ever got into.
Fair enough. Yeah, I had access to it because one of my cousins had an OG Xbox and he had DOA 3 on that sucker. Okay, or I believe it was 360. He got a 360 before I did, and he played Dead or Alive 1, 2, 3, bought 4 when it came out. We played a little bit of that together. So, family members really helps out there.
See, for me, I just didn't get into fighting games when I was younger because none of my friends played them. So literally, I had no form of contact to really get into it, and I just always overlooked Dead or Alive, especially because it's, known as the boob game.
Yeah, it does have that stigma. Okay, I get why it has that stigma, but come on, people, overlook that shit.
Oh, I get it
I'll be
too.
right back.
All right, so I'll just kind of talk for a little while. How I got into Dead or Alive was my friend Siege Sensei, who's one of my mods on Twitch. If you want to check out my Twitch, it's www.twitch.tv/liver90. Link will be in the description below. Anyways, he played a lot of Dead or Alive 5. He's actually very into the Dead or Alive franchise in general. That is his fighting game of choice, and it's my fighting game of choice. So I picked up Dead or Alive 5 for $2, brand new, on the PS3. That is how I got into this particular genre, and Siege absolutely bullied me, but I was still having fun with it, and I was actually learning because he was a pretty good teacher. And because of that, I just slowly got hooked on specifically Dead or Alive, and it kind of continued. I then bought, Dead or Alive 5 Ultimate when that came out because I wanted the extra characters. This was in a time when fighting games in particular were very different. They had multiple editions every couple of years, maybe every other year, or every year if you were Street Fighter, because Street Fighter seemed to come out with a new edition every year from the 90s to 2000s. Beside the point, I enjoyed Ultimate a lot more because it added some extra features, and then when Dead or Alive 5 Last Round came out for the PS4, I grabbed that too because I wanted to have a game that was something more than, the PS3 edition, and it did look a little nicer because it did switch over to the soft engine, which Dead or Alive 6 uses, which is part of why it has much higher graphical fidelity. And basically, I just continued playing Dead or Alive off and on for a little while, anytime Siege wanted to, though that kind of trailed off when PlayStation mandated that you have PlayStation Plus to play games online, which totally sucks.
Yeah, I can see that.
Mm-hmm. So you were saying before you had to dip for a moment?
Damn it, I forget what I was even talking about back then.
Fair enough. I think we were talking about how you played a little bit of Dead or Alive on the 360 with your friend.
Yeah. Well, I call him my friend, but he's actually my cousin. We were literally just we were as close as like best friends, me and my cousin were. So we just called each other our friends.
Gotcha. So what are you kind of looking for in Dead or Alive 7 when that comes out? Because even though people are saying it is dead, I don't think that Dead or Alive 7 is going to be permanently on ice. I think the franchise will come back.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I don't think that they can go from 5 to 6 and not at least give another game a shot,
Actually, this brings me back to what we were talking about. What you liked about 5, what you liked about 6.
Okay, so I done said what I liked about 5. With 6, I do like the fact that, again, all the characters that I played all unique from one another. You know, you've got your Kasumis, you've got your, I believe Hitomi's one of the freebies.
She
You
is. She is.
Okay, yeah, and then you got Bass and people like that. And then I bought a few characters here and there, like Momiji and Kokoro, and all of them feel completely unique. They feel completely different from one another, and that just really puts DOA above games like Virtual Fighter, for instance, where, yeah, there is a lot of characters that feel unique and all that stuff, but I feel like there's a couple characters in that game that really are just variations on someone else's moveset.
I could definitely see that. So, I think that this kind of transitions us into what the actual topic of tonight's discussion is: what we want from Dead or Alive 7.
Yes, the game that people apparently think is completely dead in the water.
Mm-hmm. At least it's not dead on arrival yet. So, what do you want to see from Dead or Alive 7?
Let me see. All I simply want from the next DOA game is find the elements that make 5 good and the elements that make 6 good into one.
That is literally what I want too, because I did like a lot of what 6 did. I just feel like 6 was a little bit rushed and not as filled out as it should have been. It was a really good skeleton. It just didn't have any meat on its bones. It was as spindly as me.
Actually, I think it was worse off than you, because at least you got skin on your bones.
True. Anyways, one thing I liked from 6 was the break blow system. That kind of is similar to meter management in 2D fighters, and I think that added some nice little bit of depth to Dead or Alive that it just didn't have previously. And it was a pretty deep fighter, as you saw with 5, because I was doing shit that you were surprised by.
Yeah. Like, the break blow system was awesome, you know. And I was so used to the system from 6 where, you know, oh, if you press R1 enough times and it hits, you know, you get this really cool looking super, you know, out of nowhere. So I wish in DOI 7 that they would take away the easy accessibility of that, you know, and just make it something like it was in DOA 5, you know, to where, hey, you can do this, it's going to do something really cool, but there's a risk to it, okay?
I would actually like to see, because you know how 5 has the comeback mechanic with the power blow and the power launchers and all that, right?
Yeah.
I would really like to see those make a return, and I'd like to see Break Blow make a return and combine those two systems, because think about what Maximilian Dude's always saying. He's always saying that to make a really good fighting game, you have to give your players more options, not making things more simple.
Yeah, because, okay, don't get me wrong, simplicity is nice, but simplicity doesn't work for everything, okay? Like, there are some pretty simple fighting games out there, like Dive Kick, for example. That game really works well as a simple game. But
I have not played it, but I'll take your word for it.
yeah, I mean, it's literally just diving and kicking. That's it. That's all you do is a dive kick. And that's how you hit people. But yeah, that game works really well as a simple game because it teaches you the importance of footsies, basically. With a game like DOA, and you already have options in the game, you don't want to have options taken away from you for the sake of simplicity. You want more options to be added.
Which is part of why I didn't really get on with 6 or Guilty Gear Strive, for that matter. I felt that both of them were a little bit too simplified. And I do kind of blame the whole esports mentality for this.
That definitely plays a factor, for sure. Because, you know, you got people wanting to get into these games, but you got people that don't want to learn all these different mechanics, right?
Yeah.
They just want a game that's easy to pick up and play, but really difficult to master. They basically want every fighting game to be like Smash.
Which Smash is fine, but I consider that more of a party fighter, and yeah, it is simple to pick up and play, and that's great. It also has a lot of depth to it, but again, it's only because some people are willing to dedicate the time to it and actually learn stuff. Uh,
Okay. Okay.
I But I was gonna say, teaching tools, that's actually one of the key things that Dead or Alive 5, and to a lesser degree 6, did pretty well, I would say.
Yeah.
Because 5 had a much more in-depth system for teaching you the basics than 6 did, and, you know, some fighting games like Skullgirls do that exceptionally well because they have the ball minigame that you can actually use to learn blocking, and that is actually an excellent idea because it really gives players a visual indicator of how to block properly, and imagine that minigame, but used for DOA's hold system, which is one of the more intricate aspects of Dead or Alive, really.
Yeah. Yeah. And going off of that, I actually learned how to play DOA 6 through its tutorial system and its move list system. How you get into a training lobby with the dummy, and it literally has the list of moves that you can do, and you just do them in order, one right after the other. That's how I got good with Kasumi. I literally
Yep.
spent the whole weekend just doing that, non-stop.
And remember my reaction when you actually came back the next day?
Oh, do I ever? Tell them. Tell the people. Tell the people what you did.
Basically, I was so used to schooling you that I'd kind of gotten complacent and I'd started slacking off, as you could tell. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna take it a little easy because I don't want to completely ruin the game for him. Then you started to claw back some victories quite quickly. And then I was like, a little training? Yeah, bullshit.
Now, the reason why he says that is because I won a game, and he asked me. He was just like, "Oh, did you put any work in over the weekend?" I was just like, "Yeah, I put in a little work."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that was one of those nights where we did, like, what was it, 7 hours on my channel, and then we went over for another 4 or 5 on John's.
Yeah, that was like an 11-hour session, and I definitely felt my hands just falling off. No, not my hands, my fingers falling off by hour 6.
Yep. And it was kind of fun to see just how sloppy we were both getting by that point. Um, but things that Dead or Alive 7 has to include definitely include a more robust training system like what 5 had, plus online training lobbies like what King of Fighters 15 has.
Yeah, yeah. Online training lobbies. This should be default in any fighting game, ever.
I agree. Rollback netcode definitely needs to be implemented, though, because Dead or Alive has a very, let's just say, rough is too polite a term, online system.
Same for Soul Calibur.
Soul Calibur, though, feels more stable. It has its problems, but it is more stable.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
But one thing Dead or Alive has to go back to, I think, is huge roster size.
Yeah.
Because 6 was, yeah, it was pretty light.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because I looked at the default rosters for 5 and 6, and I'm just like, whoa, what did they do to the roster between these two games?
I definitely want more speed, more akin to 5, but I would be okay if they slowed it down just a little bit and made it hit harder.
Yeah. Like, don't make it all the way 5 speed. And like you said, I would like more a bit of a damage boost, because it kind of felt kind of shitty for me to do like this super fancy combo string, and then just like, oh, I did not even a quarter your fucking health.
Yeah, you're talking about how 5 handled damage, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When
Like,
in 6, that same combo string would do just over a quarter.
yep. That is something that 6 definitely did better, is the damage output. It's just the animations felt slow and sluggish, as did the general game feel.
I agree. I agree.
It was like a sleepy stoner sloth trying to wake up.
Not only trying to wake up, but trying to wake up and then climb up something.
Yep, exactly. Who are some characters you want to see return, and who do you want to see get a buff of the returning characters, and who do you want to see get a debuff for the returning characters?
Okay. Kasumi, definitely I want to see her return. Ayane, I want Momiji as a base character. And I want you to listen to me very closely on this. Ace character for Momiji, okay? DLC. No DLC.
I find it so annoying that Momiji has been DLC in both 5 and 6. I mean, I get it. She sells the DLC by herself, but she really needs to be base roster because she has ties to Hayabusa, and they could really improve the storyline by actually incorporating more of the ninjas.
Yeah. So, like I said, Sumi, Momiji, believe it or not, this is probably going to shock you. Kokoro, I want her to return.
Why do you want her to return?
Well, you know, I don't want anybody to have their mains taken away from them. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I definitely want the characters you said returning. I also want Hitomi.
I was going to say her too. Yeah, Hitomi. Who's another one that I'd want to see? Christina.
You mean Christy?
Yeah, Christy. Why do I always say Christina? I've been saying this ever since I started playing the game. Okay, I'm a himbo.
Do you have Christina Aguilera on the brain?
Maybe.
Hitomi's definitely one that's got to be buffed, because she was near unplayable in Dead or Alive 6, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. Now, as for players that I think that I need a buff, characters, anyway. If we're talking based on DOA 6, pretty much every fucking buddy. Because it felt like everybody got a nerf from 5 to 6.
Except for Honoka and Marie Rose.
Yeah. And those are 2 characters that I haven't played yet, so I can't really say anything on that. But
let's just say that Marie Rose was top tier character in 5. She is like a tier 0 character in 6, even after buffing. I mean, sorry, nerfing. Same for Honoka.
Ooh, okay.
They were both really high tier characters when they first came out in 5. But they got buffed so much in 6 because of its systems, and because of the fact that they're both 2 of the speedier characters on the roster. They basically dominated the meta, and I think that's part of what killed Dead or Alive 6. Other than, you know, general bad decision making.
Ooh, yeah. That can do it. That can do it. Because when you have a character or 2 that literally just runs the table, yeah, that really destroys the meta. It makes it feel like nobody else can win. It makes it feel like you have to pick those characters in order to even do good. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So...
And you know me, I actually like Honoka. I played her a little bit in 5, and you could tell how much fun I was having.
Yeah, I can tell that you had put a little bit of effort into her in 5. Not a whole lot, because I guarantee you back then you were probably focused on Kokoro and Hitomi, you know,
yep.
Those 2, but...
And Helena.
And Helena. Yeah,
and
fuck you and your Helena.
You also say that about me and Kokoro, in both versions of the game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I have PTSD because of this, man.
I'm hoping that Goto puts up footage of her crab walk right now.
Oh, God. Look at this move. If he does put footage of this up here, I want you to look at this move. And this move right here, yes, it does look stupid. But in 5 especially, if you get stuck in a loop, you cannot get out of this shit.
It's almost like Xianghua's brat attack in Soul Calibur. You know, where she's having the tantrum on the floor.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Similar input, actually.
Really?
Yes, mm-hmm.
Huh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I have to try that sometime.
Yeah, I just don't use it because I don't want to piss you and Roxy off.
Yeah. You've already done enough damage in that department.
Yep. But yeah. They definitely need to bring Helena back. They definitely need to bring Hitomi back. They definitely need to bring Kokoro back. Helena was unplayable in 6. She was great in 5.
Yeah, so bring her back and give her a buff, please.
Hitomi needs more of a damage buff than anything, and maybe a little bit of a speed increase, because 6, she was a little bit too slow, but she hit hard enough that it kind of compensated. But the thing is, her mix-up game, which was not great in 5, I'm going to admit, because she is a beginner character, it basically became non-existent in 6. Like, entirely non-existent. You basically had to rely on her launchers, and, yeah, she was very predictable.
Yeah, which, you know, they did that to, you know, make her easily accessible for newcomers, right? At the cost of depth.
Because here's the thing, you saw how good I was with Hitomi in 5. I could actually do things with her that were impossible in 6, and she was way more fun to play, and she had a good damage output with decent speed. She was literally a good all-around character. It didn't matter what level of play you were with her. If you learned her moveset, you were gonna do decently with her, because she at least had options.
Yeah. And in 6, you were... Okay, you could catch people off guard at first, but you've seen, once I learned how to deal with your Hitomi, I literally fucking dominated. And that's why you switched to Kokoro.
Yep. And even Kokoro got so badly gimped because of the system changes and because some of her strings no longer flowed together. You noticed that, right?
Yeah, I did.
Because I could get a 10-hit combo with Kokoro and do quarter damage for health. Now, I was still doing quarter damage with 6 hits with Kokoro in 6, but she lost a lot of options because her strings no longer flowed in the same manner.
Yeah. And
now,
even Kasumi has a whole different feel in 6 compared to 5. It feels like they made her teleport options easier to do in 6.
But less safe.
Way less safe. Because I did them all the time in 6, but you punished the shit out of me for it. I do it in 5, you can't punish that thing worth a damn in that game. And that's why every time I try to go for it, you're just like, nope, fuck you, and you just hit me.
Yep, and I'm just like, you've noticed when that happens, I'm literally pressing any fucking button I can and just praying I hit you.
Yep, because once I get a teleport off in that game, it's good.
And that's one thing where 6 really shit the bed. It literally made the more advanced characters like Kasumi a little bit too beginner-friendly as well.
Yeah, honestly, because until you told me, oh, she's one of the most advanced characters in the game, I was just like, wait, what? How? Dude, she felt like so easy to just pick up, get a grip on the moveset, and then just go.
Since you came to Dead or Alive from Dead or Alive 6 first, and then went back to 5, how would you say your knowledge of 6 transitioned back to 5 with Kasumi, or would you say that they weren't too transferable?
Okay, there was some strings that I did in 6 that I easily transferred on over to 5, such as the punch, 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 and then into the double kick. Punch, punch, punch into the flip kicks. There is a couple launcher combos that I was able to do. That combo throw that you taught me in 6, I was able to transfer that on over. Since then, I've gotten a little bit rusty because we haven't played that game all that much. But back when I first was getting into the game, I had a pretty good hold on it.
Yeah. And even though I was definitely the Dead or Alive 5 master, you were still pretty competitive with me in 5 when we were like both at our peaks. And then when we go back to it, it's like I go off muscle memory.
And then I'm just sitting here like, okay, how do I do this again?
Okay, so I think that we should maybe move on to guest characters and see who we would like to appear in that, because Dead or Alive always gets pretty good guest characters, I find.
Yes, DOA has gotten some great guest characters like Sarah and Mai from Virtual Fighter and King of Fighters, respectively. Kula has appeared in this series before, so there's a lot of potential for other characters to come in here. Well, for me, one guest character that I would love to see come in here is someone from the Soul Calibur games. Actually, 2 people from the Soul Calibur games. I want Nightmare in here, and I want Sophia in here.
Okay, explain why you want both of those characters.
Well, Sophia, like, she would easily just fit right in with DOA, right? She is reasonably speedy. She's not too slow, okay? But she's not too fast either. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like her moveset in Soul Calibur is really simple, really easy to get. You can do a lot of cool things with it. So that would make it a lot more beginner friendly. Okay? And if you have her as a guest character right off the rip, and you have someone like Hitomi and her, that's 2 beginner friendly characters right there. See?
Mm-hmm.
Nightmare, I just want Nightmare in here because I love Nightmare. He's one of my favorite fighting game characters ever. And it'd be nice to just do some fucking damage with him.
It would definitely be cool. From Soul Calibur, I would really like to see Cassandra.
Of course.
And I would also like to see Sophia.
Okay, at least we agree on that one.
Mm-hmm. And I would kind of like Xianghua.
Xianghua? Really? I thought you were gonna go someone like a Taki, or I thought you were gonna want Bandai to get in talks with Square Enix to bring 2B into the game.
I mean, 2B would be fun in Dead or Alive, for obvious reasons.
Yes, but I wasn't even considering that.
But I feel like she's a little bit too crazy for the Dead or Alive universe.
Okay, yeah, you got a point. Because she is wild in Soul Calibur 6.
Mm-hmm. 32 wins. 32 straight fucking wins in Soul Calibur, just because she's got a hard moveset to read.
Yeah. Well, hard for True to read.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, True.
Yeah. But since, we're talking about KOF, kind of, with Dead or Alive, I really want Vanessa in the game.
Vanessa from the King of Fighters.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. She suits Dead or Alive's aesthetic very well. She also would have very fun interactions with Mila.
Yes, I do think that would be cool to see. While we're on the topic of KOF characters, and can you bring Mai back? Because I'm gonna buy her pretty soon in 6. I want her back. because she's one of my favorite characters in KOF.
So basically, you want her to three-peat.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. She was in 5. Yeah, that's right.
You can no longer
forgot
buy
about
her in
that.
5, sadly.
Oh, oh, my heart. It breaks.
Yeah, because as soon as they got the rights to her in Dead or Alive 6, the rights to her in Dead or Alive 5 expired.
What the fuck? That is so dumb. By the
It
way.
is. It really is. Since we're still kind of on King of Fighters, I would love Leona to appear in Dead or Alive.
Yes, dude. Okay. When I first got into DOA 6, I was just like, why the fuck is Leona not in here? Because I had been watching old school King of Fighters footage.
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked Leona's design. So when I got into 6, I was looking for her and I didn't see her. So I was just like, what the fuck? She fits this universe so well.
She really does, and she'd have interesting interactions with Bayman.
English.
Yes. Yes, indeed. But Leona would be an interesting character to see developed for Dead or Alive because she's a charge character in King of Fighters, and, you know, there aren't really charge characters in 3D fighting games to my knowledge.
Nah, not really. I can't really think of one off the top of my head, but I'm sure someone in the comments is going to let us know.
Yes, and please do if you actually know of a charge character in a 3D fighting game. But how would you adapt Leona's moveset into from King of Fighters to Dead or Alive?
Okay. Definitely keep the charge mechanics if you can. Okay, if you can. If you can't keep the charge mechanics, at least give her melee moveset a little bit of flair. Okay? Because her charge moves are what gives her her flair.
Yeah.
Right? So, if you take away that, you have to make a base melee moveset that still has that flair to it. Okay? Because most of the time, that's why charge characters don't tend to get adapted in other games unless they have that charge. Because you try to make a base moveset that doesn't have any charge moves with a charge character, it typically doesn't work out too well.
B. Jenny's another character that I think would be excellent in Dead or Alive.
Yeah, I feel like her moveset would translate over really well. Her aesthetic fits DOA to a fucking T. And she'd have some really cool interactions with a lot of characters.
Which characters do you think she'd have interesting interactions with?
Now that's a good question. I'm thinking, off the top of my head, I can already think of Ayane, Kasumi, Hitomi, maybe Helena, Tina.
Yep. Actually, her interactions with Tina would be pretty interesting, as they do have similar personalities. They do have their bratty moments.
Yeah. That's because when I was rattling off the list there, I was just like, oh yeah, Tina's pretty bratty. That would make for some good intros and outros.
Also, if B. Jenny gets added to the game, her comeback mechanic attacks have to have her smacking people with her shoe.
Yeah, so that is her climax move in King of Fighters. She literally gets mad, turns around, pulls off her shoe, and smacks the shit out of you with it.
For 20 fucking hits.
And then she ends it with a shoe uppercut that sends you flying into the fucking stratosphere.
And then she bends over in a very pin-up pose. Robert Garcia, that's another character I would love to see in Dead or Alive.
I think he could transfer over really well because Shoto characters, you know,
They're basic.
Their movesets are, they're basic, they're simple. They're like mashed potatoes on the side of your fried chicken. They're simple, they are there, and they're there to hold you down, and they're gonna do that.
Yep. Any other characters you'd like to see from any other franchises?
Okay. Now you may think that this is weird, but I definitely want to see this. Scorpion and or Sub-Zero from the Mortal Kombat universe.
You know what? That perfectly translates into who I was going to say next. Johnny Cage.
Ah! Ha ha! Cage.
And Cassie, obviously.
Oh, okay. You want the, well, I mean, if those two are in there, we gotta get the whole fucking Cage family in there. Get Sonya in there.
Honestly, all three of them would have fun interactions with the Dead or Alive cast. Also, if it's young Johnny, especially.
Yeah. I mean, if you put old Johnny in there, okay, fine. But if you put young Johnny in there, that is literally, that's entertainment by itself.
Also, they would probably get some fun interactions between young Johnny and Zack. They're both womanizers.
Oh yeah, it's Zack. The character that you told me is the joke character of the franchise.
Yep. You know, that would actually be a fun topic in the future that we could discuss. Joke characters in fighting games, and make a joke fighting game that's a team up between a whole bunch of companies, and it's just their joke characters.
So, like, the American sports team, for instance.
Yep. Or Dan Hibiki.
God. That'd be fun. That would be fun.
It definitely would be. Let's see, what else was I gonna say? I was gonna say something else, but my brain is like... Blah, blah, blah.
Zimush.
Yes. You know the type of day I've been having.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's been a rough day. For him, at least.
Yes. What are some other mechanics you'd like to see added?
Okay. Tekken, as you've probably seen, has this really cool mechanic where, like, in the middle of a round, things will just slow-mo until one of you hits the other. I'd want something like that to come into DOA 7.
That would be interesting.
A little bit of flair.
That would be really interesting. I would personally like if you could toggle that one on and off, but, like, I like the idea.
Yeah.
I think it can work in some fighting games.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. As you know, it already works pretty goddamn well in Tekken.
Yep. I booted up Tekken 7 for the first time ever yesterday. I'm hooked.
Yeah, I knew you would be.
And I'm already figuring out some things with Lily.
Nice. Okay, so what do you want, though, in this game? What mechanics do you want to see come into this game?
I want to see Power Blows return. I want to see Break Blows return. I want to see Power Launchers return. And the other power option that was in Dead or Alive 5. I also want to see proper tag team fighting back, because it's actually pretty fun in Dead or Alive.
As a matter of fact, I would almost rather see Tekken. I'd rather see like a DOA tag game come out first before the next DOA. I like how Tekken does with they have a mainline Tekken and then they have a Tekken tag.
So use the tag one to be like, you know what, we're gonna test some mechanics. We're gonna maybe strip out some mechanics and kind of fiddle around with the engine a little bit, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That could actually work really well. And, you know, I would actually like to see if they do a Dead or Alive tag game, make it a 3v3.
I don't know about a 3v3. I don't know if a 3v3 would work for DOA. Definitely 2v2 would definitely work. Sure.
2v2 definitely does work. I just think that a third option would be kind of interesting. Maybe have, like, 2 different modes. Have the 2v2, which would work as it's always worked, and you have your tag throws. And then have, like, an extra mode where it's you and 6 friends duking it out kind of King of Fighters style.
Okay.
So, like, it'd be me, you, Goto, one team, Shinky, John, True, another team, as an example. We each pick our best character, and we just fight until one side's eliminated.
Now, if they do make it a 3v3 game, I want the tags to be super fast and fluid. Okay? One thing that absolutely pisses me off in a tag game is when they make the tags a little bit too hard to pull off effectively when you're in the middle of a combo. It pisses me off to no end.
And that's something that I didn't like about Dead or Alive 5 last round versus Dead or Alive 5 Ultimate. Ultimate actually allowed you to do the tags very easily.
Yeah, because I tried out that tag mode for fighters, right? And I would try to pull off a tag in the middle of a combo, and it was just, God, it got on my nerves.
With Dead or Alive 5 Ultimate, by the way, the way that tags worked was you would do X to start your throw, and then mid-throw you would press X again, and your tag partner would tag in, and then finish the throw.
See, that works really well.
It does.
Because I could do my combo, right? And then combo it into a combo throw, and then get my tag partner in there, right? Like, let's say one of my characters is at half health, one is at, like, 3/4.
Yeah.
And I have the one that's half health in there. I could get a combo off, go into the combo throw, get my other character that has more health in there, and then bam.
And the thing is, it worked super well in Ultimate, but here's the thing. The competitive players hated it. That's why it got changed in the last round.
Oh,
and why you had
God.
to do the input. See,
No.
it's kind of a give and take when it comes to simplifying versus options. I would say that for something like that, it's better to have the simplified option.
Yeah, it's way better to have just simple, easy, fluid tag mechanics.
How does tagging work in Tekken?
Okay, now, it's been a while since I played Tekken Tag 2, okay? So, my memory's kind of fuzzy on this. But, you would be mid-combo, and then you could press one button, then your other character would come in, do a hit, and then you could just continue comboing with them afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
You could get them stuck in a really long combo chain if you timed your button presses correctly and you knew what moves, like, let's say a move bounced the character up in the air, you had to do a move that would catch them on the way back down, basically, if you tagged in.
Yep.
Otherwise, you would just drop the combo, and then, oh, there's a new character in there, and then it's just back to square one, basically.
Yeah. So, what do you think Koei Tecmo has to do to make Dead or Alive 7 successful?
I think, from the start, need to launch with a robust amount of modes, give people options, not just in the gameplay, but in the modes too. Okay, fighting game developers, look, I know that everybody just makes it out like the multiplayer is where it is, and it is. You know, that's where you get all your competitive stuff. But there are people out there that do not give a shit about multiplayer stuff, and they only care about the single player stuff. Give them some more stuff to play. Give them a story mode. Give them an arcade mode. Give them some cool modes in the training mode, like you said earlier with the whole ball minigame in fucking Skullgirls. That was awesome!
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Like, give people options give people that don't want to play online more options, please. We need that.
Definitely. Also, here's something that I think would be insanely helpful. In training mode especially. Well, specific to training mode is my idea, but my idea is have the game tell you exactly what you're doing wrong when you flub a combo.
I cannot believe, to this point, we have not had one fighting game do this. Not had one fighting game do this.
I am too, and it's like one of the most simple ideas, and it's like it could tell you, hey, you're just off by a millisecond or something, for example.
Yeah, or you could, or it could just give you a suggestion, like, you know, if you do this move off of that starter, get X amount of damage, you know, X amount more damage out of that combo than what you're doing right now.
And that would be a good teaching tool. Also, I feel like they should do match analytics for everything you do, every mode. Doesn't matter. That way you can compile your tendencies as a fighter, and then you can program the training dummy to go at you in a specific way so that you actually improve your game.
Yes, okay, so that brings me into one of my points. Let it be super simple for me to program the training dummy in training mode to do things that I struggle with, instead of just making me have to get onto that character, do the exact thing that makes me frustrated. Like, if I can't do a combo string, I have to do that string with that character in order to program the dummy to do that. Just give me an option like a toggle to just say, okay, do this move, and this move, one right after the other.
Yep. That would be great. Also, more modes. Always want more modes. And that was something Dead or Alive 5 did insanely well that 6 just didn't. 6 lacked modes. Especially at launch.
Yeah, I saw John play that game at launch, because he pre-ordered that game. And I literally said in the chat back then, I was just like, wow, that's really all the modes that they have? And he was like, yep, apparently that's what they decided to put in.
I also feel like there just needs to be like more online modes as well, because I think one really fun idea would be online survival mode.
That would be fun. That would be fun.
It literally matches you up with a lobby of people, and it goes, you know what? Survive as long as you possibly can.
That would be really cool. Really cool. Really cool. Another thing that I think needs to happen, Smash Brothers in particular has this feature. Have, like, tournaments built into the game. Tekken has this too, by the way. Tekken has in-game tournament modes that you can get used to being in a tournament setting. And it's not, you know, same as like going to an event and participating in an IRL tournament, but you can still get that feeling online, basically.
I think that should be a standardized feature for all fighting games going forward.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Also, I would love it if they would incorporate multi-match lobbies. King of Fighters 14 did this.
They didn't do it in 15.
No, Weird. They didn't, but it was an option in 14, and I thought that was a cool option, because especially if you're a streamer like me, sitting around waiting for your next match is fucking boring.
Mm-hmm. Especially when you have, like, a full lobby, right? And you're sitting there in the back of the line watching fight after fight after fight. And yeah, sure, your audience may get a little bit of entertainment seeing other people go at it, but or just sitting there twiddling your thumbs like, you know, I can't wait till I'm up. I can't wait till I'm up.
You've probably noticed I just go and grab a tea at that point.
Yeah, like, I'll be sitting there talking my head off to you, and then somebody in the voice chat will tell me, oh, he left, he'll be back in a minute, and I'm just like, god damn it.
Also, one thing that Street Fighter 6 is doing that I would love to see in Dead or Alive 7 is content creator commentating mode. I think that's ingenious.
make it easy to have like a commentator over the gameplay, is what you're saying here?
No, they actually hired out members of the FGC to record actual commentary for like the match. It's like kind of, kind of stock dialogue, but at least it's kind of a neat little feature.
Okay, yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool because there's a game that actually does that. It's called NBA 2K Playgrounds 2. They had some content creators do some commentary tracks for that game, and you can toggle it on and off if you want to. It's really cool.
Yeah, like that would be cool. Also, your idea for like shoutcast mode, that's good. Like we could get my friend Keebs to spectate our matches and have him commentate over it, but we
Yeah,
could
uh, like an esports style shoutcasting mode. Make it to
Yeah.
where someone doesn't have to get into the lobby and be like in the lobby list in order to be able to spectate.
Exactly. There anything else that you kind of want to see in this game, or do you think you've about covered it?
I think I've about covered everything I wanted to cover.
Yep, same here. So where can they find the Mad Belmont if they want to keep up with you?
I am on Twitter. I am on Twitch. Same name across all platforms. I am right here on YouTube as well. I cover Castlevania. I cover horror. I cover Metroidvanias. And on my Twitch, I stream RPGs here and there. So, yeah, for me on all those platforms, respectively.
Awesome. Thanks for doing this little session with me.
Problem. And I'm always willing to come back if you're willing to have me.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll have some more ideas for you in the future. So, that's us done for tonight, guys. Thanks for watching the video. If you want to keep up with me, my socials are Leafer90TTV for Instagram and Twitter, Leafer90 minus the TTV for Twitch, and I will also be linking to my socials in the such as Discord, etc., in the description below. Links to Goto's socials will be available as well, since he kindly edited this video for us, and the links to the Mad Belmont's particular socials will be included as well. Thank you for watching, and if you liked the content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.